Ladies and gentlemen, on today's podcast, I am delighted to introduce a remarkable individual who is at the forefront of shaping leadership, innovation, and happiness in both for profit and non for profit sectors. Meet Louis, a visionary leader and the founder of World Happiness Foundation, the World Happiness Fest, and the World Happiness Academy. With a strategic focus on stakeholder engagement and the fundamental human needs of belonging and becoming, Lewis has dedicated his expertise to building leadership alignment, fostering innovation, and honing entrepreneurial skills. As a global brand marketing and communications expert, Lewis has an impressive track record serving as the former CMO of the financial services vertical at Talim Global Education and the former managing director of global brand and marketing at Deloitte. Author of impactful books like Capitalismo, and The Exponentials of Happiness and Brands and Rusers, Lewis has not only led teams and budgets to maximum performance, but also has played a pivotal role in positioning Deloitte as the number one professional services practice globally in FY 2010. Louis' passion extends beyond his professional achievements. He collaborates and teaches reputation and brand management at prestigious institutions. As a keynote speaker, he shares insights worldwide on holistic thinking and the personal actions crucial for success in today's global economy. Please join me in welcoming a true pioneer, Louis, who is not only shaping the future of learning but being being and also committed to realizing exponential happiness for all. Welcome, Louis. How are you?
Thank you so much, Sagar, for this invitation. I'm very well. I'm very happy to be here with you.
So, Louis, why global well-being matters. And I know you have been doing this for many years now, but why it matters?
Well, being well matters. That's the main reason. So, who doesn't want to be well? Who wants to be unhappy? That's the question, the key question for everybody. And if somebody wants to feel under high performance, it's is the option. But we know because we ask, is that most people want to feel well, and more people deserve to feel well. So I think that for us at the World Happiness Foundation, happiness is a human right. We see that as a universal right, and this is something that we have to take care of. If people want to be happy, people don't want to be unhappy. I think that we have to facilitate that to happen. We have to facilitate to create the conditions, and then we have to help every individual to explore and to understand how to be well.
Yeah. So what was that pivotal moment where you decided that you are in a way going to leave the glittery corporate life and transit into this mission of global well-being?
Well, I think that at the corporate level, I was focusing on this topic as well. When you build brands, and my job was to help many organizations, including professional services, big professional services organizations, to build their persona, who they were, and what was the difference between them and other organizations, why they matter. My job was really focused on building the brand from the inside out. You can
Mm.
only build brands from the inside out when you know who you are, when you know
Yes.
what is your ethos, and basically you know who works for you, and you know who you want to work for this organization. So I think that that's the beginning at the corporate level. Uh, but before corporate, I was in the civil service. For many years, I was studying how to solve conflicts and how to bring peace to societies. I'm a sociologist, and I
Mm.
had the opportunity to be in post-armed conflicts, witnessing as an observer, as an international observer, the tragic and the drama afterwards. And that was one pivotal moment for me to combine how we can prevent conflicts from happening, and that happens at the corporate level as well, but in a lower violent way, and how we can maximize the value, intrinsic value of every single individual wherever they are in the world. And the combination of both really was, I think, the pivotal moment that we all face in order to see, okay, what can we do at the strategic level, the macro level, to create programs, conditions, even days. International Day of Happiness is a symbolic day for everybody to remember that happiness is a right. So that combination of factors, I think, that brought me into the space where I am today. Basically, my goal is to realize a world with freedom, consciousness, and happiness for everybody. And that's how we are building the foundation, the festival, the academy, and all what we do.
Thank you, Luis, for sharing that. What are some of the key gaps World Happiness Foundation is trying to fill both for organizations and individuals?
Yeah, this is a great question, because we see opportunity. We see the opportunity for people to feel better, for people to be better, but not just because that's the ultimate goal. Is just that. No, it's because uh, either people don't feel as good as they want. So that's the gap. The gap is, how do I feel today? How do I want to feel? And as you can see, it's a question of feelings. So it's very subjective. And we know that in one single day you can feel so many different feelings and have so many different sensations. So I think that this is key. How do we become very intelligent at the way that we understand our emotions, we manage them, and we can actually choose how we want to feel in a specific moment. It's not that we have to feel the same way all the time. That's not natural. What is natural is that we have a combination of feelings, a combination of emotions, that we react to what's happening around us from an emotional perspective. And we think as well in a specific way. But you know what happens, that some people uh, cannot manage. Some people don't know why they feel the way they feel. And some people get attached to thoughts and emotions that are not convenient for them, are not helping them. So this is a big gap, is how do we manage and we can get into a state of harmony and balance where we can maximize the value that we have as humanity, and how we can create prosperous societies.
Thank you, Luis. Luis, in your perspective, what is the root cause of misery?
Yeah, misery is a big word. It's to me, misery is basically sounds a bit like underworld. Is we are in a space where we don't get as much as we are. Is is a space where we are not feeling good. Is a space of um, shadows in many ways. So I think in order to imagine that misery is a shadow, shadows are in us. We all have shadows all the time. But what we need is to integrate them into a higher being, into our essence. And in order to do that, we have to use keys. We have to understand how to integrate all that misery with our essence, that is normally an essence of beauty, an essence of divinity in many ways. So we need to know how to, what key we can do in order to do that. The essence and the root of misery, in many cases, is ignorance. And this is, I think, this is a very Buddhist term. When we don't understand we become intolerant. So the path to forgiveness, which is the essence of intolerance as a shadow, is understanding. So I think that this is the key. The key is understanding. When we understand, we that's the beginning. That's the beginning to make a profound change.
Luis, what advice you have for leaders who are watching this podcast, and they are responsible for their team, be it team size of 20, 40, or 400. If they want to create a secure atmosphere in their organization, what are some of the baby steps they can take?
Yes, we see today that um, in most of the world we are going through a moment of fragility and vulnerability. We call this brittle. We are going through a specific moment of um, things can be broken in seconds, and that's very fragile. We know as well that we are going through a moment of anxiety. A lot of people are going through anxiety. I would say the whole humanity, in many ways, was exposed to something unique. COVID-19 was something that, for the first time, uh, impacted the whole humanity, 8 billion people at the same time. And that has created a lot of collective anxiety. We know as well that things are not always linear. It's not input output. There is a system around that connects many different variables. And what happens today is the consequence of maybe what happened a few years ago. Look at climate change. It's not the consequence of exactly today, it's the consequence of decades of fossil fuels and basically extracting resources from the planet. And we are living in a world as well that is, for most of us, incomprehensible. So we don't really understand what's going on at so many levels. So I feel that first thing I would advise leaders is to be aware that that's part of the reality. And when you are aware, you have to understand that you are not the only one that is having issues. A few days ago, I was giving a talk to YPO chapter in Colombia, and when I finished, one of the presidents came to me and said, "Well, really enjoy the conversation and the talk. Now I understand why my company and my people are suffering, why they are angry, why
Mm,
they are going through a what they call a toxic culture." And I said, "Wow, why is it?" And he said, "Well, it's because of me. It's because I am angry, because I'm very unhappy." Look at that. The level of awareness that he has is amazing.
yeah.
Well, now what he have to do is some internal work, inner work, and he has to improve, because otherwise the company is not going to improve. So I think that when we are aware, that's the beginning. And then we know what. It's like, I'm angry. And now the second question is why? Why am I am angry? And the third question is what for? What is the
Mm,
reason? What is behind my anger? So actually, when you go through those three levels of exploration, you are starting to see
mhm,
as well of knowing that it's not just about you, it's about what's around you as well. So I think the combination of
mhm.
both, understanding what's around me and what's in me, and the connection and the integration of that is the beginning for any positive change that we want to make.
Yeah, yeah. Luis, why people find it difficult uh, to have a good relations with their own self? Why do you think people find difficult?
Well, I would say that things in general have a level of complication. So imagine when we are born, even walking, just for the first time we walk, it takes time. So it's normal that things are a bit difficult. I play sports and I've been a sports coach, handball coach for many, many years. And I mean, nobody really starts winning games with no training. So actually, when you play sports, and I recommend this to everybody, you really see how difficulty makes you better in many ways. So you have to find and set
Mm-hmm.
the right goals and the right, that's something that is not going to happen overnight. You need to train. So I think that difficult for me is good, is a challenge, is an opportunity to improve. So I think that
Mm-hmm.
difficulty in understanding who we are, why we exist, is very normal. What it's telling us is that we need to explore. We need to go into a journey of exploration, and that's life. Life is really a journey of exploration. It's a journey of remembering who we are, and the sooner we remember who we are, the better, because then we are going to be enjoying life and being aligned and helping others and being of service.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Lewis, for highlighting that. Just a follow-up question here. Also, then why people find it difficult to have harmony even between their parents or their life partners or their close friends? This is just an observation. So, what are your thoughts here?
Yes, I think that something that we learn as well from, not just from psychology, actually from almost every wisdom out there,
Mhm.
is that the moment we believe and we attach our identity to that belief, we are basically putting a layer to
Hmm.
our core. So our core is amazing, is pure, is for some people is oneness, for some people is peace, for some people is bliss, for some people is freedom, for some people is harmony and balance. So that when we really go down and connect to that core, we realize that what we've been doing all our life is to put layers, and those
Hmm.
layers and those parts start building our identity. So when we have this so many different layers and so many different parts, we get completely confused about the core. And the core is essentially pure and amazing. So the more we attach, the more we build our identity, and the more we build our identity, we keep attaching to the identity. So some people, when they say your family, your father is telling you something that you like, instead of taking it as something to learn from, to understand what he's saying, why and what for, we take it into the friction with our own identity, with our own attachments. And in that moment, we react normally in order to basically respond to what we don't like. And that's not coming from our core. That's coming
Hmm.
from parts of us. That's coming from layers. And we have so many that in the end is my part talking to another part. It's not even my
Hmm.
core. So this is the opportunity that we all have, is how do we get to the self core, and we understand that, and then we see reality from a dissociated space. It's like, okay, this is going on. Why is this going on? And what is this telling me? Imagine that people were so wise to act like this and to understand that it's not about attaching and building our identity about different attachment. This is about being who we really are. Is the exploration. I mean, at that moment, if we were able to do that, there will be no conflicts, there will be no war, there will be no violence, because we'll be in a state of understanding of everything that's going on. I think that that's the exercise that we have to teach everybody to do,
Mhm.
and then when you stop being attached to things.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Louis. I hope the audio and video is clear from my side, because I saw that for a few seconds. You were, so I hope the connection is perfect at your end as well.
Yes, it's good, it's working.
Perfect. Uh, Louis, can you share more about what are some of the offerings that World Happiness Foundation is offering to the global citizens of the world? It would be great to know that.
Yes, at the foundation, we basically have a theory of change. The theory of change, we are a non for profit, we are a for purpose organization. As a for purpose organization, our purpose is to realize a world with freedom, consciousness, and happiness for everybody. That's everybody. We are aiming at 10 billion people by 2050. So we still have,
Wow.
yeah, we are 8 billion people in the planet today. Uh, in about 20 years, we are going to be 10 billion. If that's the case, well, we want everybody to really have the opportunity to choose to be happiness. This is very important. It's an option. So this is not forcing everybody to do what they don't want. It's an option. What we know is that when you choose to be happiness, it's not happiness, because you embody it. Then you have many benefits, and the benefits are not just for you, are for your community. So when this president came to me and say, my company and my people are suffering from my anger, that's a good example. And looking after the people, everything will have changed. So basically, what we offer in a theory of change is training. That's the first thing. We do a lot of training, and we train teachers. We have a
Hmm.
program called Schools of Happiness. So we want to create happiness through schools, and we focus on the teacher. Our theory
Hmm.
is leave the kid alone. The kid is happy. The kid is amazing. What we need
Hmm.
is the surroundings of the kid to be as balanced and in harmony as possible. So we focus on families and teachers. Then we go to the corporate level, and we have a program called Enterprises of Happiness. And there we focus on the managers. We have an amazing chief well-being officer program. You've been through it and you know it
Yes.
well. And here we focus on well-being at the strategic level, how we can elevate the conversation at the corporate level, at the small business level, making being well and happiness core to the management of the company. And then we have a third program called Cities of Happiness.
Hmm. Hmm.
There we focus on the city manager and the council. So we help them maximize the budgets and the policies and the actions to create environments that actually help and build the conditions for residents to fulfill. So we do a strategy and advisory, we do training and development, and then we connect people. This is very important that people get connected. And for that, we have festivals around the world, we have chapters, we call them agoras, and we empower everybody to maximize their impact through happiness and well-being.
Wow. Wow. Luis, can you share any success story? I'm sure there would be many, but something which is close to your heart, maybe of the individual or communities that has been positively impacted by the foundation's work.
Yeah, we have many stories, but I feel one of them was a few weeks in Mexico working with the Secretary of Education in different states, and I went to school, and this school was basically 10 years old kids, and it was special needs in that school. Actually, in the system, you have special needs combined and and blended with basically standard education. So we had the opportunity to teachers and the kids, and we brought a tool that we have that is very impactful. It's called MetaPet. So it's a whole combination of animals into cards that we use for kids to learn about their emotions, to learn about the keys to their
Yeah.
essence. So we did the exercise, and there was one kid that came to the class in the morning and basically saying, "Well, I'm very angry and sad." That's all
Hmm.
he said. And the teacher told us that normally that kid doesn't speak at all
Hmm.
in the classroom. And it was 20 plus beautiful exercise with kids and all these metapets. And in just about 10 minutes, he got so connected to the exercise that he came so close to us that he was super excited. You see when somebody gets excited that really move, they shake, they nod, they jump, they dance, and he started talking. And then he started talking hills and whales, and he started basically daydreaming with all these animals and in front of all the
Wow.
class. And the class was, wow, what's happening? And suddenly, the rest of the time, 35 minutes, he was completely connected. He was part of the class was enjoying, and we finished, and he gave a hug to all the students. And everybody was
Wow.
there, was like so
Yeah. Yeah.
astonished. It's like, what's going on? And nothing else that basically using love, using care, using nature in order to change
Mm-hmm.
people. And we call these new narratives and new paradigms for development. When
Yeah.
you bring people into their creativity, into their imagination, into
Hmm.
their you facilitate to do the exploration that we talked before about the core,
Yeah.
everything changes. And the teachers now are really following up because that was a unique moment and a unique situation. But I witnessed that moment, and I think that that was so powerful to realize how small acts can create um, small change, and small change can create bigger change. That give us the roadmap. The roadmap is to think at the holistic level, the interconnections, but we have to act at the personal level. It's the one-on-one and the one-on-one groups. So groups is very
Yeah.
important because in this case was the kid and was the class. So when you intervene into one within the group changes as well. So I think that's something that really resonates with me because it is something that we have to
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Thank you, Louis, for sharing that experience. What advice you have for aspiring entrepreneurs and change makers who want to align their ventures with a goal of promoting human happiness?
well, I feel that it's the same. I mean, if you are passionate about your venture, if you want to do it, it's probably you did the work to understand why you do that.
Hmm?
So keep in mind that
Yeah.
out of 10 ideas, don't go through the level of, they don't move from innovation into a mass production in average everywhere in the world. So this is very important. It's like whatever you do might have the chances of not working, but it might have the chances of working. The only thing that separates one from the other really is, there are many factors, but one of them is really the connection of that you do to your purpose. So if you do things just because you have to do something, the possibilities of not going anywhere are very high. If you do
Hmm.
things because that's core to your inner essence, the chances of that working are huge, are really, really big. So my recommendation is whatever you do, align it to your core, align it to your purpose, align it to what makes sense and brings meaning to your life and passion, because you are going to be spending many hours on that. So I think that that's very important, and that's the beginning. That's the beginning of success. That what you do is really aligned to your purpose.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Luis. Now, how does one define and measure happiness on a global scale, considering cultural and regional differences?
Well, there are many different ways we can measure happiness at the citizens level. You're a citizen. Are you happy with your life? How do you feel about it? Keep in mind that happiness is subjective, and this is very important. So is the way we perceive things, and when we ask about that, is subjective, and it depends on one single moment. I mean, if you ask now, you might feel in one way. You ask tomorrow, you might feel in another way. So overall, we have to ask overall, looking back,
Yeah,
thinking of feeling the present. How do you connect?
yeah,
So this is part of how happiness is measured. It's overall measures of satisfaction in many ways. Um, but you know, when you we connect that to how do we build the conditions for people to flourish, this is what I like as well, because we are seeds. Imagine that all of us are seeds. You might be the seed of a sunflower. I might be the seed of an eucalyptus. What we the first we need to understand is what seed we are, because we are different seeds, and different seeds flourish in different soil. So we need to find the soil. We need to find the right way to take care of this seed, because if the conditions, if the soil, if the light, if the water, if the love that we are going to be getting is not the right one, we might not flourish as many other seeds. They're wild seeds. They don't care about
yeah.
it's like they can grow anywhere. Yeah, but
Hmm.
we are not all wild seeds. We need to understand what seed we are. So I think this is a beautiful metaphor to understand
Yeah,
happiness and well-being. Happiness ultimately is gonna be flourishing from us, and it's gonna be elevating us to the state of the seed that we are. Um, but the well-being are the way that we are going to maximize that impact, and I think that's a nice metaphor that I like to use.
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely, Luis. Thank you for sharing that. Now I'll ask one signature question that I ask all my guests. According to you, what is the future of work? Where are we heading?
Okay, well, I think that this is very much linked to my book Capitalism.
Okay.
Basically, if we keep framing success as fame, power, and money, that's capitalism. That's
Mm-hmm.
the system that basically rules the world today. Is capitalism is basically the accumulation of capital.
Yeah.
And actually, capitalism can be more conscious. Yeah, sure, but it will be capitalism. It will be aware of what it is, which is great. But if we keep framing capitalism as success, money, and fame, that's the future of work. The future of work will
Mm,
be more fame, more power, more money.
mm,
And we'll
mm.
have to navigate around that framework. And we'll have to navigate through the framework of economic growth. Because if
Yeah.
we don't grow in capitalism, we die.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
why speed is key driver of capitalism. So everything has to be moving very fast, because if you don't grow and you stagnate, it's not possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Salaries, it's not possible to keep the business going. So this is a big deal, because we are living in this world. What I'm proposing
Mm.
is a new system, and the new paradigm is called capitalism. And in capitalism, the way we frame and the way we measure success is through freedom, freedom from fear, is through consciousness, consciousness to understand what, why, and what for, and happiness, happiness to share. So we are building a system where the ultimate goal is freedom, consciousness, and happiness. That's a different game. That's a different game. And you will structure your resources in a different way, because ultimately it's not about more money, it's about more happiness. So I think this is my proposal to every leader out there is, how can we, within the system that we have, start exploring new ways of doing things. And those doing things will have to be based on being more than doing, and more of having. So I think the future of work in capitalism will be a work that makes you happy. It will be a work that brings you freedom, and it will be a word that elevates your consciousness, which is going to have a really good impact in the whole system. So I think that it depends the lens that you're using. If we keep
Yeah.
in the same lenses, we are going to be struggling a lot, because
Yeah.
the nature of capitalism is is what it is. That's the
Yeah.
nature.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yes, we can polish a bit, we can play with it, but we really need to start thinking about new ways and new paradigms for human progress that really elevate humanity to the level that we have to be, the level of peace.
Yes. 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 Luis, where do I find my copy of Capitalism? Where can I find my copy?
Yes, Amazon. You go to Amazon, there it is. I have 4 books now, and it's capitalism. And one is capitalism and why it is important for the evolution of the human race. Is in Spanish as well, and other languages. And Brahms and Rousers. Brahms and Rouser was the first book, and that's one that is really more focused on business, how to build high performance business, brands and careers. But you realize the connection of happiness from the beginning. Happiness is in the system, and I wrote that 12 years ago.
Wow.
When I Yeah, so it's systemic to think of systems, alive as systems. And when we do that, we are really starting to change the paradigm for good.
Yes. So, Luis, before we end this conversation, do share with our viewers if you have any closing thoughts. Also, if the leaders or viewers, if they would like to reach out to you, what is the best platform to connect with you?
Yes, I think LinkedIn is perfect. My Instagram is Gallardo World, and the website of the World Happiness Foundation is worldhappiness.foundation. So that's the way to connect. Very happy to get everybody engaged in this journey of happiness around the world. And thank you so much, Sagar, for the way you are and creating this virtual global leadership podcast. Is very important that we bring these messages out, and you're doing amazing.
Thank you, Lewis. I'm sure you have been a source of inspiration. Like, I have decided to build a series around global well-being and happiness. So I will continue this mission and have various perspectives and people and leaders who are making genuine effort in making this global society a peaceful, happy, and healthy. And I would love to play my small part in doing so. And thank you once again, Lewis, for taking your valuable time out and sharing your insights, wisdom with the global community. And thank you, viewers, for joining us and listening to some wonderful ideas, insights that can positively influence and impact your personal growth as well as your organization's growth. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.